Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Backed by popular demand, we have Professor Timaree Hagenburger doing a fabulous cooking demo that is perfect for tomorrow's 4th of July parties, picnics, or potlucks. She's going to be making a smoky Southwestern broccoli salad and a feel-good potato salad. And she has so many great techniques, tips, and tricks. The Foodie Bar Way is her system, and I'm sure she's going to talk about it. I also hope she'll talk about how she got those beautiful arms that you're going to see in just a moment. Please welcome her back to the show. It's so nice to see you in a beautiful new kitchen.
Thank you, Chef AJ. It's been a little while. I am so excited. I've been looking forward to this for so long. I have made these recipes, and as soon as I made them, I know you're going to think this is funny. I thought, I have to do these on your show because I know how much you love broccoli and you love potatoes.
Two favorite foods. Yep.
There are so many of us who don't know what to bring to a potluck and, or a cookout or a barbecue. So I'm going to give you two amazing recipes that are meal worthy as well, and I'll show you how to do that to make a meal worthy. But what I'm starting with right now is I am cutting up some radishes, and I'm making the potato salad. But what we're going to do is expose everyone to using radishes along with potatoes for your potato salad, cooked radishes. And we're going to reserve 2 of these, maybe 2.5, to dice small and add raw. And that's because, if you didn't know this before, radishes are part of the same family as the broccoli, the cruciferous vegetables. And most of us think of those only as cooked, as fresh, the radishes that you'd see maybe put on a taco or something like that, or in a salad. But you can actually roast them, steam them. You can do all kinds of things, and they mellow out with their flavor. So I have some crazy water. Well, the water is boiling here, and I'm adding beautiful purple potatoes. Chef AJ and I both covet the purple color. We love purple for many reasons, but one of them is because of all the anthocyanins that are in here, the phytonutrients that protect our cells. So I have purple potatoes, red potatoes, and a few of the Yukons in here, the baby ones, and I'm adding the radishes.
Timaree, I've actually air fried radishes, and it really did mellow them out. It was delicious.
Yes, they do mellow out. It's amazing. It's so fun. Now I'm going to turn this down just a smidge. I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. Right, start that. And it's so fun to learn how to use vegetables and fruits in different ways. I don't ever stop learning. I mean, it's incredible. You think, oh, I've kind of used most of these vegetables. No, you learn how to do something like subbing in some radishes for potatoes. Who thought of this? Well, when we do some investigating and we realize that we can really expand the variety of our diet, and we know that variety is not only the spice of life, but it also really impacts our health, because our gut health, the microbiota, the microbiome environment, is dependent on variety. So the more variety we can include, and we're talking about a variety of fruits and vegetables, legumes, and whole grains, the better off we are with our gut, because we feed those babies and then they take care of us. So I'm just chopping up the rest of this radish to set aside. So what I'm going to do for this recipe, the potatoes are doing their thing and the radishes are doing their thing in there. And then I am going to put together some of the other veggies. And this is a very, very easy recipe that you can change up as you wish, which is the whole idea of the Foodie Bar Way concept. You make it work for you. But what I have is I'm going to use a big bowl, and we're going to put in some kale. And we actually have beautiful, what color? Of course, purple. The purple kale, and then instead of like in addition to some celery, which I always use the leaves, we are going to use fennel. I love fennel, and I used the bulb actually during a Mediterranean foodie bar cooking demo that I did for my Foodie Bar Way of Life community on Friday. And so I had the tops, the fronds, as well as the celery-like pieces left. And when I was growing up, I lived very close to my Italian grandparents, and we would eat fennel just like celery. We would call it finocchio. And it was so refreshing. It has kind of an anise flavor, licoricey, but it's a different plant entirely. And some scallions. But what I want to make sure we do is wilt the kale with the warm vegetables once they're done steaming. So I'm going to pull the stems off, and I always use the stems. Everybody who's seen me make my crazy salad mix always knows I just use the stem. I just cut them up small and use those along with the celery. I love the crunch, and I don't like wasting any food. So my goal here will be to take this kale. Now you could massage it and break it down that way, but my preference is going to be to just chop it very small. And you can take your time. You want to really squeeze it and just shred it here. And we can go back through with the knife. Now, as I'm holding this knife, I want you to see I'm not holding it by the handle. I'm pinching the blade and then wrapping my fingers around it. I have way more control than if I hold back on the knife. And as long as I am using my little claw, I'm not going to cut my fingers, okay? Your fingers only get cut when you stick them underneath the blade. But I really want this to be like confetti. Don't want big pieces of kale here where someone would really have to chomp on it. Chef AJ, have you been out to a restaurant and bought a kale salad and been disappointed with how large the pieces were?
Well, I don't really eat at restaurants, but yes, I mean, when I did a long time ago, kale needs to be macerated and it needs to be small.
It does. But you see, and I don't go out either, but when I do, I've seen people, I look at the kale salad from someone who already purchased, and I think, I don't want these gigantic pieces. And then I wonder if that's people's exposure to kale, because you'll meet people and they'll say, oh, I don't do kale. Well, if you had this big leaf that you're chomping on, and of course it's not going to taste palatable, but it's all a matter of knowing how to prepare it. And in this situation, we're just cutting it small. So what I'm going to do though is have it there. I'll go ahead and cut the stems too. And then as soon as those hot potatoes and radishes come out, we'll put them right on top for that to wilt. Okay. We'll get these in there. And again, I mean, you could throw away your stems, but all tastes good to me. And again, you don't want big pieces. And that's one of the reasons I don't buy kale that's already chopped. I like to buy the leaves because they often have big pieces of stem, and I don't know. I like to have a party in your mouth with every bite. And that doesn't work if you have gigantic pieces. Okay, so we have, for this salad, We're gonna add celery or fennel, parsley that I already have chopped up, the kale, and then half a cup of red onion and the scallions. So I'm cut this red onion, and the amounts are completely flexible. I mean, I put amounts down so that everybody could have the recipe. And on the show notes underneath the at YouTube with Chef AJ's channel, you'll see a URL. It's tinyurl.com/potluck salads. And that way, when you go there, you'll have the recipes in a PDF form sent directly to your email. So it makes it very easy. You don't have to figure out how do you copy and print and everything from the show notes. tinyurl.com/potluck salads. Wanted to make it easy for all the viewers. So that's probably good as far as the half a cup. I also have, and I'm a little heavy on the onion because I love onion, and it loves me, red onions. Red onions, the purple onions, are gonna have so much more of the antioxidant power than the white or the yellow by mountains. So we always want to choose purple or red if possible. And when I cut that onion, I cut it around the natural shape instead of straight down so that I get an even dice when I cut through. So then just little end pieces. And there we go. Okay, so that is going to be for our second salad as well. I know I was going to use, do I have extra red onion? I might not. Oh, I just love onion. I add it to everything. So I'm going to set this aside right now. Okay, so we've got 1 minute left on the potatoes and radishes. Then we'll dump them in here. And then I'll show you how to make the dressing for it. And then we'll go on to our second salad. And we'll actually also, let's see here. I want to have our celery and scallion ready for us too.
I don't know how people live without onion, Timaree.
I know, I do. I have someone in our membership that right now her body doesn't tolerate onion. So she uses a little asafoetida and she uses ginger. She doesn't tolerate onion and garlic right now. But it is so hard because onions are they add so much and they change when you cook them. They get sweet and the health properties are phenomenal from that whole family. Okay, turn that timer off. I'm gonna turn this off. Okay. Now these are beautiful. Gorgeous purple. The radishes are in there. So I'm just gonna let that do its thing. Look at all the steam. You see those beautiful radishes? All right, so it's gonna do its thing. So we're gonna cover this and set that aside. Okay, so now what I think I wanna do is finish up the vegetables for this salad, and then we'll make the dressing. So I've got these little, I think I need to put these onions. I think I got a little overzealous with my onions, thinking, and you can add them to any salad, of course, but I don't, I want to focus on getting the celery or fennel. And fennel's an interesting vegetable because it has that unique flavor. And so for some people, it's too strong. It does mellow out when you roast it. And you can also pre-steam it when I did it for the Mediterranean Foodie Bar, we actually made a parchment packet for it. And then I cooked it for a little while in there. And then I opened it up and gave it a chance to get caramelized. And that worked exceedingly well. But you can be completely flexible in the ingredients that you're adding. So I'm adding both celery and the fennel. And the fennel will be a pretty topping as well. You can keep some of those little fronds.
Everybody's asking about your arms and how we can get them.
Oh, how do we get these arms? Well, these arms come from genetics, obviously, our body shape a little bit, right? But also I am a consistent physical activity person. So it's part of my mental health every single day. And at least 2 times a week, typically 3 times a week, I do some kind of resistance training. And so when I used to go to the gym with a friend of mine, but with all the shutdowns a few years ago, we stopped doing that. And I had these dumbbells at home, like most people, and they were kind of just dust collectors. And I thought, that's mainly what I use at the gym. I use some machines, but I used a lot of dumbbells at the bench. So I'm just going to use them at home. I'm not going to make a big deal about it. I'm just going to start using them consistently. And so I really didn't miss a beat. I went to remote working, and I realized that I saved a lot of time not driving to the gym. And I was just consistent. So now I don't think about, oh, should I do it? Should I? I just do it. It's just what I do. I don't really think about it anymore. So yes, I work on these, and not crazy, just a few days a week, but I also eat plant-based whole food all the time. I don't have oops, I don't have cheats. This is what I do. This is who I am. This is how I live. So consistency over time is magic. Now, let me share something with you. I left these scallions big because I wanted to reiterate the importance of cleaning them well. Many people will just rinse them under the water, and that's not enough. We have to make sure that there's no dirt hidden inside of these. So I always open them all up and clean them very well. And I always use both the white and green parts of the scallion. We used to see a lot more recipes that called for one or the other, but no, you use them both. But remember what I said about wanting a party in every bite? So instead of leaving big chunks, I am slicing them so that when I chop them up, they're going to have a perfect size. Because if I don't want a big piece of onion, and scallions can be strong sometimes. So normally they're mild, but every once in a while I'll cut some scallion and I'll be tearing up.
Yeah, I know what you
So
mean. It seems like the white part is always stronger than the green part.
For sure, absolutely. But I don't want big pieces of any of it in my potato salad. I want every bite to have a little goodness. Okay, so we are looking excellent for these other ingredients. So I've got the kale underneath, the parsley I have on the side. I have the fennel and celery, and then the red onion I have pulled aside as well. So those I think we're just gonna let sit because we are in good shape, and we can move on to the dressing, and then we'll move on to the next recipe. So this dressing I'm gonna make in the blender. And this is a very, very simple dressing. So I'm going to use some salsa verde, and you can make your own tomatillo salsa, or you can use, I'm keeping this all green. So that's the rationale for using the salsa verde, but you can do whatever you like. So I'm going to start with a small amount, just a quarter of a cup of salsa. And it's important always to look at if you're buying salsa, to look at the ingredient list and look at the sodium content, because it can be sneaky. Okay, apple cider vinegar. So I have apple cider vinegar. I buy it in a big gallon jug, but it's kind of cumbersome. So I moved it to one of these little bottles with the top, and it makes it much, much easier. So I want 1 tablespoon. Okay. 1 tablespoon here. And apple cider vinegar is excellent. Excellent for your body. And I know Dr. Greger has sung the praises of it many times on his nutritionfacts.org. We have half an avocado. Now, you don't need to use an avocado if you are not consuming any avocados, but this is going to be, actually, you know what I'm doing by accident? It's okay. I am doing my Southwestern broccoli salad dressing, and then we'll go back to the potato salad dressing. So this is a gorgeous avocado. I wasn't sure how it was going to look, but it's perfect. So we are making, we're changing gears here. We are making the broccoli salad dressing. So I'm putting in half an avocado, and it's going to be enough for more than 6 cups of broccoli. Okay, so it's a lot. But what I wanted to show you, which was really a fun hack, is you can supplement this with peas. So if you wanted to use a quarter of an avocado, you could increase the amount of frozen peas. If you wanted to skip the avocado and just use frozen peas or add some white beans, you could absolutely do that. So I'm adding a generous quarter of a cup of frozen peas. When you measure them, I want to make sure that you are really generous if they're still frozen, which I recommend, because they take up a lot of space when they're frozen. So you want to make sure that it's really mounded, okay? Because peas are wonderful to include. So we've got the salsa verde, the apple cider vinegar, the avocado, the frozen peas, and then we have lime juice. And I want to show you for the limes, we always want to use some zest. And if you've seen me before, I always talk about it because it does help with cancer prevention. But lime zest is quite strong. It's kind of bitter. So we want to include some, but I'm happy with about half a lime's worth of zest. And then we're going to juice 2 limes. I've already juiced 1 just to save a little bit of time. But this microplane makes it very simple. Now, have you ever, let's do a little more. Have you ever been disappointed with the amount of lime juice that you get from a lime?
Always, almost always.
Yeah, it's really annoying because you hardly get anything out of them. And I've often been caught thinking, oh, I wish I had a lime, but I used them all. The solution is the freezer. One of the members of the Foodie Bar Way of Life, our group, said, I saw something about freezing lemons whole. It's like, okay, I'm down because I freeze stuff all the time. So now I freeze, I scrub, and then freeze lemons and limes. And what makes that magical is not only are they at your fingertips, but because they've been frozen, the cell membranes have been kind of burst inside. So it is so much easier to get juice from them. It just comes out. So you even have to be careful when you're cutting it in half because it could really release the liquid fast. So I use my favorite reamer, right? I've had lots of those pressed ones. I've broken 3 of them. I think I squeeze them too much because I like to get all the juice out. But this reamer is not broken. It is a wonderful tool. But when you freeze those limes first, you would never know that they were frozen except for how easily the juice comes out. And you know, you'll buy some limes and they'll start to get brown or they'll start to get shriveled and you think, oh, I need to use them. And then when you want to use them, you don't have them. Not anymore. You can buy limes and wash them and stick them right in the freezer in a zip top bag or a silicone bag if you're using those in your freezer. So isn't that cool, Chef AJ?
It's totally cool.
We love to have citrus at our fingertips, whether it's growing or not, whether it's in season or not. And when we can get it and then freeze it, oh, it makes life happier in the kitchen because citrus adds so much goodness. So this, look at how this was 2 limes. Amazing amount. So it's about 5 tablespoons worth. Normally, you do not get that much from 2 limes. You get a teaspoon sometimes from each, or 2 teaspoons. Okay, and then we're going to add 2 more items. One is mustard powder. Mustard powder is excellent. It is just mustard seeds that I have ground. And you can buy it, but I like to buy the mustard seeds. And it is potent, so we're just going to add a little bit. I'm going to add a quarter of a teaspoon. It's hot. It's yummy, delicious. Once it gets hydrated, it's actually when the heat really picks up. So that's a quarter of a teaspoon. I think I'm going to add a little bit more because I love it. And then cilantro. You can go with dried cilantro or fresh. So again, the amount is up to you. And if you're someone who says, oh, it tastes like soap, I don't like cilantro, then skip it. Use parsley. Use something else. Use basil. Whatever sounds good to you. So I love cilantro, so I'm going to put some in, and you can put in the stems, right? I've already washed this beautiful cilantro. And yes, I was keeping you on your toes. This is the recipe for the dressing for the broccoli salad. So we'll get this done and then I'll stick it into a bowl and then we'll move on to the dressing for the potato radish. So let's go. Okay, this is nice and thick. You can see how beautiful it is. So I'm actually gonna leave it here because I don't need to use the blender for anything else. So let's transition back to, and then we'll do the broccoli salad in a minute, but we'll transition back to the potato salad. So let's do that dressing. So the potato salad dressing uses aquafaba, and I'm actually just gonna whisk it up in a bowl. So I have a whisk right here. I have the aquafaba in the fridge. Okay, aquafaba is the water from the beans that are canned or cooked. So this is from white beans that I was using for a Mediterranean spread that I made. So this is a quarter of a cup. I had measured it out. So we're going to use that. Now you could use vegetable broth or you could use water if you wanted. But the aquafaba has some body to it, which is nice. It adds a little bit of thickness. But again, it's completely up to you, whatever you'd like to use. And I did want to show you my one of my best buddies in the kitchen is masking tape and a Sharpie. Always label, because you never know you can't even trust yourself sometimes in the freezer. I think, which kind of sauce was this? And my students in my community knows I made the mistake once of freezing Austin's black bean soup, my son, that I had made with him. And I thought it was pizza sauce because I have really dark pizza sauce because I put veggies in it. And I tried to put the soup on a pizza. And this was years ago. And the kids were like, Mom, something is very wrong. There's something wrong with this pizza. And I looked at it and I thought, I don't know. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is black bean soup. I had just a small container of it. So label, okay? Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Masking tape and a Sharpie. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to use vinegar, and I'm going to use 2 different types of vinegar because I want to. You don't have to. You can do all apple cider. You can do all red wine vinegar, but I'm going to do half red wine vinegar, and half of a quarter of a cup is an eighth of a cup, also known as 2 tablespoons. So when you think quarter of a cup, think 4 tablespoons. So I'm doing 2 and 2, okay, for this. And I love mustard, as I mentioned to you. So I'm going to use 4 tablespoons of mustard. In the recipe, I say you can go from 2 to 4, and you can use any mustard that you like. So this is a spicy brown mustard. You can do a Dijon. You can do a whole grain mustard. Fabulous. Whatever you like, but mustard and potatoes and vinegar are a wonderful combination, and radishes for sure. Okay, and I think of German potato salad when I think about this recipe. And we had a fabulous foreign exchange student from Germany. And when we went to visit her, we actually got to see her before she came to see us. One of the appetizers that they had out were radishes that were sliced. It was just something that it was just a normal food. So we don't use radishes as much here, but we should. Now, spices. So I have smoked paprika, dill, black pepper. Okay. I have onion powder and garlic powder, and it's very humid here in Florida where I am. So I covered these little containers because they will absorb the humidity. And then I have, instead of a date, you can use a date. If I used a date, then I'd need to put this in a blender. But I have a little date syrup ice cube that I had done with a prep together in our community. We did a date syrup prep together. And so we froze in little silicone, those little molds, a ton of date syrup so that again, it's at your fingertips in the freezer. Maple syrup is expensive. It's way more concentrated. There's no fiber, but dates are the best sweetener. So I have one little cube that I thawed out, and now I don't have to use the blender. But also you could use a quarter of an apple if you wanted to use that instead of a date, which would be perfect. Don't peel it, and then use your blender. So the only other, I also had black cumin in there. So the Nigella sativa, did I put any black cumin? No, I didn't, because I wanted to show you. I keep black cumin chopped up. I know that Dr. Greger does it in a pepper grinder, but I just chop it up. I don't have a pepper grinder, and I leave it in the freezer in the door with a little shaker top. So we're going to use, it's a wonderful spice. We're going to use a quarter of a teaspoon in there. And I use it in everything. So you can add it to whatever dressings or salads, just sprinkle on top. So this is the dressing. That's it. So we've got the vinegar, the aquafaba, the mustard, the paprika, the garlic powder, the onion powder, the black cumin, the dill, and our date syrup or date. Okay. The whisk works well. You can use a fork. You could use an immersion blender. That would be fine too.
You know, Roxy said she didn't know that aquafaba could come from white beans. She thought it only came from chickpeas.
No, that's just the bean water. So you could actually use it from black beans or kidney beans or any beans. But those black and kidney, it's typically darker in color. So it kind of affects it looks kind of dingy, you know, if you're adding a dark like black for the black beans. But absolutely, aquafaba is aquafaba. We just see the most versatile being typically the chickpea or the white bean because of the light color and the very mellow flavor. Yay, Roxy, you're learning something from the nutrition professor.
Nice.
Okay, now before I add the dressing, I want to add all of the veg. So I'm going to talk through it so we make sure I've got everything that I want in here. Kale's underneath, celery and fennel is on top. Scallions are here, and I'm adding scallions and red onions because that whole allium family protects our cells. So I'm doing that we already cut up. I'm also adding parsley, beautiful parsley that I had chopped up. Okay. And that's it. We are in business. So now I can mix this. That kale is, actually, I'm going to add the raw radishes as well. That kale is nice and wilted underneath, just enough. These little fronds are big. Okay. But look how gorgeous. This is a feel-good potato salad with beautiful purple potatoes. Now, we're going to add the dressing, and this potato salad is going to taste better the longer it sits. So this is definitely, both of these recipes are make ahead. You can bring them to a party, a barbecue, a cookout, a potluck, and the flavors will just get better and better. So you just want to fold these. And I know that a lot of people are air frying their potatoes. And I know, Chef AJ, you've talked about this in the past, that when we air fry whole foods, they lose water content. So we end up eating more calories per bite because that water has 0 calories and reduces the energy density. So if you've ever had that experience where you could eat maybe 1 big or 2 big sweet potatoes, but if you put them in the air fryer, oh my gosh, you inhale those in just a few minutes because they shrivel up and they taste wonderful, but they don't take up the same amount of space or weight in your gut. And so you end up overeating compared to what you would eat if they were, let's say, steamed. So that is one of the reasons to have, again, a variety. There's nothing wrong with the air fryer, but this is also a wonderful way to enjoy potatoes. Okay, so look at this. I wish you could smell it. Chef AJ, we have to work on this together. We have to figure out smell-o-vision and taste-o-vision because they just don't realize how good this is. And I wish I could just airmail it to you fast because it's delicious. Okay, are we ready for broccoli salad?
Betcha.
All right, so and then I'll give you some suggestions as well for how to add even more to that potato salad. But let's talk broccoli. Now, one other thing that makes it so fabulous, or I'm gonna move this because we don't need these ingredients anymore. Done with that dressing. I will show you how to do some other fun things with that potato salad, what to add to it. But one of the fabulous things about plant-based is the cleanup, especially no oil. Oh, it's wonderful. Always have a garbage bowl. But do I need to wash my cutting board between cutting celery and broccoli? No.
Nope.
Nope, not at all. So I want to show you something fantastic with broccoli. I already have about 5 cups or so of broccoli here, and I'm going to use the food processor to do the work. But I want to show you, I used to buy broccoli crowns and I always look for the most florets per piece, right? I didn't want a wasted stem. Now I only buy with the stems. So I will cut off the very tiny piece. And then guess what well, I'll tell you in a minute. So we're gonna cut off the florets. And just like with cauliflower, you wanna cut it like this. You wanna have the top down and the base up so that you can pull off those florets. Now for this recipe, and we love the leaves, but for this recipe, I'm putting it in the food processor, but I still don't want these 2 sizes. I want everything to be a little bit smaller so that the food processor can go in and just do its thing without having a big piece of broccoli that keeps getting moved around and around and around and falls to the, kind of gets pushed up to the top. So this is plenty. Here's my broccoli. For our salad recipe, we only need 6 cups. I am gonna put the leaf. Broccoli leaves are delicious. And this, I'm not gonna peel it. You know what I'm gonna make? Broccoli chips. These are my favorite new, for me, it's not that new, but dipper. So you know how we like to use veggie dippers for hummus and all kinds of dips. Here we are for salsa. These are delicious. And I have a friend who she's like, oh, she'll text me and say, I'm cutting broccoli stems. I'm sure you're salivating. I love them. So I have broccoli and cauliflower stems and I keep them in the fridge so that I can munch on them, including, I also have my jicama chips and all of that I have in the Foodie Bar Way. But Chef AJ, do you eat those broccoli stems like that?
I love broccoli stems. I think they're really tender when you steam them. And I love broccoli slaw as well.
Absolutely. But you have to try it just as chips, just the crunch. Oh, yes, I definitely never throw it away. I always would chop it, but now I actually look forward to finding the best looking stems that I can when I'm buying broccoli. Now I am adding a little sweetness to this broccoli salad. And you may have had a broccoli salad, a raw broccoli salad before from a deli that had mayonnaise and sometimes raisins or dried cranberries and onion and usually sunflower seeds. So I am turning that on its head, no mayonnaise. We already made the dressing, which I can review what I did in the blender. But for sweetness, I am adding orange pieces. You can I'm using a little cutie, 3 little cuties for this much of a salad, but you can use an orange and you're looking for about 3/4 of a cup of orange. And again, you may be thinking, oh my gosh, she's cutting such small pieces. Yes, party in your mouth. That is what we're going for. So I wanted to add moisture, but not in a way that it would get soggy, and sweetness and vitamin C to help. Broccoli already has vitamin C, but the iron in broccoli is even more bioavailable when you have other sources of vitamin C. So we have another source of vitamin C, bell peppers. So I've already chopped up 2, and I wanted to show you, I'm the no waste girl, right? And you've seen this. I have my garbage bowl, but this is a little bell pepper. And when my son was in, was it middle school, either end of elementary or beginning of middle school, he had a science project about how much vitamin C is in the different colored peppers. And we titrated it with the little chemical and everything. And we came up with red, actually inched out the yellow and the orange. But what's important is to make sure that you're enjoying these raw, especially if you're enjoying them cooked, because you will lose quite a bit of vitamin C if you cook them. Not that it's bad to cook them, but it's nice to throw in some raw as well. Now, this top is still delicious. The only thing I threw away were the seeds, and I'm trying to find the little stem. Oh, here. That's it. I do not like to throw away good food. So I will take out these little seeds, and you can eat the seeds. Normally the seeds of peppers are where the heat, the ribs and the seeds, but these little babies are just sweetness. And so you could use the little seeds if you wanted, but we're just gonna go for pretty presentation here. So I'm slicing this baby open and just pulling those out. And they make for also amazing dippers. It's another one of my favorite dippers. And remember, Chef AJ, when I was on your show doing my 7-layer dip, we did 7-layer dip, and I used purple cabbage, these bell peppers, we had jicama, we had all kinds of things, but I did not have broccoli stem chips. So we need to add that to the mix. So we're just cutting these, choo, choo. Again, little baby. We want small, 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 so that we can have a party in every bite. And the tops go just fine. Sometimes I'll just munch on those tops when I'm chopping, but we'll put them all in there right now. So do you see we're adding color? So we're gonna have a gorgeous upgrade by leaps and bounds of the broccoli salad that you normally see in the deli. That was heavy with mayonnaise. I was talking to someone the other day about mayonnaise, and I said, well, do you know what's in mayonnaise? Do you know how to make mayonnaise? And I said, no. I said, that's oil and an egg yolk with a little vinegar. Really? And then, yeah, that's what keeps it emulsified. Oh, that doesn't sound very good. No, doesn't sound very good to me either. Okay, let me grab my food processor to let it do the work of cutting up that broccoli. Okay, so let's.
Which food processor do you have, Timaree?
I have, this is so funny because it is memorized in my brain, Hamilton Beach 70740, because it is super light. It actually, I bought this in 2015 and I use it every day. It's super light, which you kind of usually think it's a piece of junk because I have heavy food processors, the big ones. It's so easy to clean. It screeches. It sounds terrible, like, oh my gosh, it works like a champ. One of my friends who owned a raw restaurant recommended this one because I wanted something that my students could find accessible, financially, because this one is the most I've seen it is $49. Sometimes you'll even see it for $39. So it's wonderful. It's excellent. Now you don't want to fill it too high. We want to do this in batches. So let's just whir it here on the pulse. Okay, so let me show you the size. Okay, so we're going to do it in here. And I love broccoli, so it doesn't really, the size of each piece doesn't matter to me, but it's so much easier than trying to chop it all. It's so quick. And this one, like I said, it's really easy to clean. There aren't a lot of areas where food gets stuck. So many of the other ones have so many of the plastic pieces that things get jammed up and wedged up in there. And I am having a ball in my Foodie Bar Way of Life community. When I was on your show last, I had the book, of course, right? My Foodie Bar Way, but I felt like I just couldn't reach enough people and stay connected with them. And when I was teaching, I need a spatula. When I was teaching, I would have students for a semester or 2 semesters. And when they were in class, it was great because they were staying connected, they were on point, they were staying motivated. But then after the semester was over, they kind of lose touch with all these healthful habits because, I do so much more than just nutrition in my classes. And so I thought, how can I reach more people and stay connected, truly be their nutrition professor for life? Because that's what just fills my soul. And when we went remote, all of a sudden, I was like, wait a sec, I'm on Zoom. I can run into the kitchen and say, hey, this is what those baby bell peppers look like, or this is that food processor, or what have you. And people could be at home. They could have their kids there. They could be traveling. They could be wherever, and they could be connected with me. They didn't have to drive to school. They didn't have to live in the general area. They didn't have to live in the state. They didn't have to retire, right, in order to take my classes. So I thought, oh my gosh, I can do this. And so that's when the Foodie Bar Way of Life began last July, when I thought, I don't need to be bound by geography and by time. I can connect with people, and we can do monthly cooking demos, which I do. We can do prep togethers where we all prep. We can do meal planning parties, which we do twice a month, where we plan all of our meals that we want to whip up. We can do Q&A sessions where people have me at their fingertips. I can do classes. I can do mini classes. We can do book club. We can do all kinds of things. And so that's what I built. And it's accessible online as well as in an app where we all put in recipes and we share ideas. And like the cooking demo that I just did for the Mediterranean Foodie Bar, that's in the recording is there. All the new recipes are there, because when I wrote that book, that was 2015. I published it in 2016. I have come up with new recipes since then that go with those foodie bars, but I had nowhere to put them. So now it's all inside, and it just, oh, it takes my breath away to think about the connections, because so many people feel alone in this journey. And when they log in to see you, Chef AJ, every day, you are a light shining that brings so many people together, because the community connection, I know when you started, you weren't thinking you were going to do this every day. This was temporary,
Never.
right?
Never.
Yeah. And now you're like, I can't stop, because this is a lifeline for people. Like, this is making a difference. So we adjust, we pivot when we need to. And technology has come up now so that I can stay that connected right there to anybody. And I have people in South Africa, I have people in Norway, we have people all over the US, Hawaii, including Hawaii. And it's amazing. Okay, back to the regularly scheduled recipe. This is the broccoli salad. So you see, I have broccoli, I have purple onion. That is my onion that I need. So we do have the onion. We have the scallions are in there. The black beans are in there. The baby bells are in there, and the orange is in there. This is going to be, oh my gosh. Now I have to tell you, I am getting so excited, Chef AJ, because when I made this salad, and I'm almost thinking this is too small of a bowl, but I used the big bowl for the potato. But when I made this salad, I was concerned that there would be water that would really accumulate at the bottom, like at day 1, day 2, day 3. And I thought, oh, it's going to get soggy. It didn't. I was doing cartwheels, because when I tasted it, I was looking forward to every bite. And I was sad when I didn't, when I ate the rest of it. I thought, oh my gosh, I need to make this again and again and again. So I'm going to add this dressing, and the dressing is thick, but remember, it's thick with peas. Well, you don't want to tell people that. You can't tell people things are healthy. You can't tell people that there's peas and things and beans and things. You just have to say, this is delectable, delicious food. You don't want to have them have this preconceived notion. The research is very strong that if you tell someone something is healthy, they will rate it as less satisfying and less satiating and less yummy. So we don't want to say that. We just want to say food is yummy. And of course, it loves you back if it's from my kitchen. I don't do anything else besides loving the food that loves me back. So I'm a super scraper, that's my superhero name, but for now, I'm going to go with that. Okay, so this is going to take a little bit of stirring to incorporate the dressing. We don't want it soppy, right? We just want it kissed with the dressing. And then you can put a few pepitas on top, right? The pumpkin seeds, if you choose to, you don't have to. And then I want to, I know we're at an hour.
You can keep going. Actually, I have a question from Bethany. She wanted to know, is that like a freestanding island that she thinks it's beautiful? She wanted to know.
Yes. So I will talk about that. Chef AJ actually asked me before we went live, what is that? What do you have? Is it movable? So yes, it is. It's a movable island that is not on wheels. You could potentially put it on wheels. I just have it. I have the laminate floor in here. So I just have it on furniture sliders so that I can move, just little on the bottom of the legs, but it's not very heavy. There's just one drawer in it and a few shelves, and I move it from the center to the side. It's great. And then I have the big IKEA cutting boards that are like the $19 cutting boards with the lip. And there's two, the lip is on this side, two just about cover it. It works great. So my other house, I had an island, and I do miss my induction cooktop, but at some point I want to get another induction here. But for the time being, this island is excellent. You just move it wherever you need it to be. Oh, it's so good. This smells so good. I want you to see this gorgeous salad.
It's beautiful.
Look how much it makes, right? So if you think about this, even if you're thinking, oh my gosh, it had some avocado, it had half an avocado for a huge amount of salad. This is gigantic. And again, you can scale that down or remove it, and in its place, use more peas and keep with the green or little white beans along with it if you wanted to for that creaminess. Okay, so those are the two salads. Now, what I wanted to add that was a little bit extra, if you are interested, is I want to make, what I'm looking for is here they are, red onion. I wanted to make some special smoky red onions. If we have time, I'd like to do that.
That sounds good. There's a question about the nutritional benefit of spices. Do you add them before or after cooking for the best health benefits?
Good question. I think it depends on the spice and depends on how long you cook it. So the spices are going to be so nutritionally dense that a little bit, like when you think about cloves are so strong that a pinch has shown bioactive potential, just a pinch in your food. And cloves are always consumed dried. So you don't really need to be concerned about it. I typically go by the idea that if I'm wanting to really boost the flavor and I'm using a dried spice, I will add that at the beginning. And then herbs we typically add at the end for, to retain their freshness. But you can always sprinkle a little on top at the end as well. I use my chai spice blend because it has turmeric, and that's one that's in the Foodie Bar Way, but it has turmeric and black pepper and cinnamon and all kinds of goodness in there. And I add that on top of things. And Ann Wheat, one of my dear friends, she loves it so much. She takes a little container of it and keeps it in her purse. So when she goes out to dinner, she'll sprinkle it on soup, she'll sprinkle it on salad, and she knows it's a boost of nutrients.
Nice. And somebody's asking, what kind of knife are you using?
This is an IKEA knife, $10. I bought it because, again, I'm always looking for students, thinking about them and economically advantageous choices. And I thought a $10 knife, it's probably going to be a piece of junk. No, it actually is my family's favorite knife. So yes, so it's an IKEA knife. I have other knives, but I really like this one. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm cutting up this red onion, but I'm leaving it in much bigger pieces. And what I want to show you is I want to make some onions that are kind of this caramelized flavor that we can add to the potato salad as kind of a bacon-esque flavor, because potato salad is often, people think of it with bacon as well, but we're going to add the smokiness. So we're going to do the onion. We are going to do balsamic vinegar. And one of Chef AJ's favorites is the California balsamic. This is sweet heat. So if you want a little bit of heat, or my favorite for the standard just at Costco is the organic balsamic vinegar. I like it better than the Trader Joe's. And then the smoked paprika, and then a little liquid smoke. And a little tip for you for the liquid smoke is to have a little dropper, because often if you add liquid smoke too much, it's too strong and it can be hard to pour and just get a little bit out. So I use one of these little droppers from medicine, and I just suck it up, and then I can add a little bit to whatever I'm cooking if I want to use some. Okay, so we can, I can answer any other questions that you have. And I know this was kind of an afterthought as far as the onions, but it really is fun, and it makes for a wonderful topping on other 4th of July. If you're doing a black bean burger and you want some caramelized kind of smoky onions, they're fantastic on that as well. And again, it's another level of onion, another layer, and it's going to be sweet when we let it caramelize. So this is already.
There's a question, how much of the onion to peel or not to peel?
You just want the very feathery skin peeled. You don't want to peel too much, because the most antioxidants are going to be towards the outside. So you don't want to cut in and just be very cavalier with cutting them. Yeah, you just want the peppery or the papery outside. Yes, good question. Okay, put these in. So a little sizzle. We want to hear that little sizzle. And that is a dry pan. And wonderful contraption is the lid. The lid will hold in water, and this will allow it to caramelize and not just steam. I'm going to keep an eye on it. Instead of just adding water, you could water saute, but then it really is steamed, where I'm going to use the heat to make that caramelization happen, but I don't want them to dry out. So I want to contain that heat with the lid, and then I can tip the lid to the side, if I choose to. Let me share, I wanted to share a couple of other ideas for the purple potato feel-good salad. Another option that you could add in, which would be very fun, and you could do this on individual servings, you could actually set it up like a foodie bar. So the concept of the Foodie Bar Way is to have lots of different options where everybody could make it their own. So you could definitely do this salad that way. You could have all of the vegetables separate, and everybody could add their own. But you could also use something like this and then have other additions. So a few additions that I would recommend would be pickled onions. So we just did a prep together in our community for making pickled onions. Oh, they're so good. They're so amazing. And then red kidney beans, excellent. And that will, again, bring this to the more complete meal with the legume and the vegetables and the starchy vegetable. Another option would be sauerkraut. So this is an organic sauerkraut, and you can, again, there's some salt in there, so you be mindful of that, but a little bit of that in with the potato, because I didn't add any salt to this. So only the salt that was in the mustard really would be what's in here. So if you taste this, you're going to think, oh, it needs salt. So it's good to see if you can get it in other foods, like a little bit of olive or a little bit of sauerkraut. You can also cook some asparagus. You could add the asparagus in the last 2 minutes of the steaming time for the potato and the radish. That would be fabulous. Same thing with green beans. So you could make it all those part of this, or you could list, have all those set out and have everybody personalize their feel-good potato salad that much more with these toppings. So I just wanted to give you those ideas. In addition, let's stir these onions. So it doesn't take long.
Oh, sorry. There was a question, do you teach any in-person classes?
No, not anymore. I am doing everything on Zoom. There were so many people who could not take my classes because they didn't live close or they couldn't do it in the semester or what have you. So now I'm doing everything. I'm putting my whole heart into one-on-one consulting that I'm doing, coaching, and my Foodie Bar Way of Life community. So, and I'm teaching through there, and it's fabulous. It's so fun. But yes, now we don't have to worry about geography, because if you didn't live in Sacramento area, you were out. There was nothing that you could do. But now there's no worries about that. So this is what I was seeing was the little water that accumulates in the top. I make sure I put that back in. And I want to show you, it's starting to get translucent. And it looks great. But I'm going to let it go for just another minute. And I'm going to get ready with the additions. So I'm going to use a little bit of the sweet heat, because I like it a little spicy. And I'm going to use some smoked paprika and a little bit of that liquid smoke. Just a little to add to, looks like I'm low here. All right, so I'm just gonna add a little few drops. Black pepper would be good too. A little bit of smoked paprika, which is very different than paprika that's just labeled paprika. That is very different. There's not much flavor there. Smoked paprika is amazing. Okay, a little bit of the sweet heat. So we're just letting these babies go. Oh, it smells fabulous. Smell-o-vision. I wish you had it. I wish we had it. Okay. I can plate these for you. I took some beautiful pictures and I will send them right to you, Chef AJ. That way you can have those. But this smells amazing. You would, if you were someone who grew up with bacon in the morning in your house and you woke up to that smell, that is what you would think was happening in this house. But it is far from it. And I'm sure you know that just smelling the fumes of bacon increases your risk of lung cancer. It's that dangerous. Look at those beautiful onions. Oh, I'm so excited. Was that difficult? No.
I feel like you need that.
Easy.
Yeah, you need the button. That was easy.
Yep, that was easy. Okay, so let's scoop some of this. Are we ready? What other questions do people have?
Well, they're asking where they can get the recipe, and that's because if they're watching on Facebook, they have to go to YouTube. That's where the show notes are. So
tinyurl.com/potluck salads. I wanted to make it super easy.
And I have posted in the chat a few times, but sometimes people are late.
Yeah. And the show notes in YouTube are great. They're a great place to put.
That's where all your links are to your book, to your classes, podcasts.
Everything.
They're clickable links.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. So we have this, and let's put some of these beautiful onions right on top. Oh, I'm gonna enjoy these. Okay, we're gonna pull those aside because with an electric range, they definitely stay warm. So look at this. Do we see a good view of it?
Gorgeous. I love the bowls too.
Yes, I am one of the, I love little bowl. I think this was World Market. And I don't know, a lot of the World Market's closed. The Cost Plus World Market. Oh, I love, they would have such cute little bowls and things. But yes, so this is our gorgeous broccoli salad. And you could definitely play around with these ingredients as well. You could add radishes to this if you wanted. And like I mentioned, you could put some pepitas on top, the pumpkin seeds, just a little if you wanted. It goes with the Southwestern. Okay. How does that look?
That looks gorgeous.
All right. So we just made 2 amazing salads that are going to be perfect for a potluck. They will taste better with time. So you don't have to worry about making them the day of, right? Oh, it's just fantastic. And don't forget, if you want to add, for the potato, you want to add some legume, the dark red kidney beans are excellent choice. Again, beans will typically even beat out blueberries for antioxidants because it's the deep, rich color. So don't skip out on those beans. When you see a salad, you think, okay, I've got the greens, I've got the onion, I've got the potato. So what do I, the radishes, what else? I need a legume. Get kidney beans in there or small red beans in there. I already added black beans for you to this broccoli salad. And so these actually can function as one meals on their own, but just think of how neat it's going to be to have your plate at your potluck with both of these on it. You are not going to feel like there's nothing for me. You're going to be delighted. And you got to get your plate filled up first because we're pretty early in the process, because when other people taste this, it's going to be gone. All right, Chef AJ, thank you so much. I am so honored to have graced your presence.
Couple of questions.
Well,
you can come back many more times. Are those Salad Master pots? Karen,
yes, they are. Yeah.
Okay. And Nick wants to know, do you have a garden at your home?
Yes. Okay. So that is when we were living in California, we changed our whole front yard to edible. And it was amazing. And then we moved. So now we're starting from scratch, but we just planted, oh my gosh, let me see if I can go through everything we've planted so far. We have basil and parsley and eggplant in a raised bed. And then in the grow pots, we have mango, passion fruit, papaya, dragon fruit, a nectarine that's specifically for this area, a plum. We have, did I say mango? I think I said mango. We have some wild spinach. We have dates. We have soursop. Let me think of what else we have out there. We have all kinds of things. I am doing little videos. I'm playing around on TikTok a little bit. So it's under the Foodie Bar Way in TikTok, but I'm also doing things on Instagram and in the community, of course, and showing what's growing and how it's growing. And so this is a brand new adventure. The soil is really sandy here. So we are learning how to amend it so that it really can grow amazing food, and it will. We are so excited. I felt really, I bought a pomegranate because pomegranates will grow here too. But I felt really, and kiwi, all these ideas are coming to my head because I'm thinking about what's outside. But I felt like when I started to buy the plants and plant them, that I was really feeling grounded. And I know that's kind of a play on words, but when you're used to going outside and picking the food, we have some tomatoes growing, picking the food and bringing it in and cooking with it. It's just hard to describe how wonderful that feels. And then when you don't have that, you really miss it. And so knowing that some of these are going to take a few years in order to really, produce for us, just beginning the process, just being able to go out there and picking basil for my Mediterranean cooking demo on Friday, it felt so good, so exciting. So yes, we are gardening again, but it's just the Florida version.
Nice. Tish wants to know, where can you get the pickled onion recipe? Will that be included in the URL?
Pickled onion is in my book, The Foodie Bar Way, and it's also on my website, thenutritionprofessor.com.
Nice. Thank you. That's fantastic. Somebody has a question about pots.
Okay.
What kind of grow pots?
Oh, they're the grow bags, the felt grow bags. They're really easy to move around, and they will allow water to come out, to drain out. And so that's what we started doing, because we didn't plant things in the ground in our front yard except for just a few citrus trees. Everything else we had in pots, but pots can be super expensive. And heavy. So we used grow bags, for a lot of what we grew, and we could move them around when the seasons, when we needed a little more sun exposure or a little less. And they have handles on the sides. So we just buy those online. And something else that's really important that I thought about it when someone asked about the pickled onion recipe. So if you go to thenutritionprofessor.com, my website, and you click the subscribe, you'll be on my email list. And once a month, I do a prep together inside our community, but I open it up to everybody on my email list. So you could join us and get a taste of the Foodie Bar way of life by attending one of those prep togethers. And the last one we did last Sunday was the pickled onion. And then if you're in the community, you get all of those recordings. You get recordings from every single thing I've done in the community for the past year, and none of that ever goes away. So it just gets richer and richer and richer.
Nice. Gina says, how are you handling the humidity compared to California? It must have been a huge change.
Yes, it was a huge change. I moved at the end of December, so it wasn't super humid, and it was a little weird to be 85 degrees in the end of December, because that is, even when it's nice and warm in California, it's not 85 in December. But it also got to be below freezing here as well. I had to wrap pipes on another day. It's like huge differences in temperature, but the humidity is definitely setting in. And it's funny, I was going into the freezer to get something and my glasses fogged up because in the garage, it's more humid than in the house, obviously. And I had that freezer open and my glasses fogged up and my hair got a little, stringy. And I thought, oh my goodness, yes. It is definitely humid here, but it's just something to get used to. When I run in the morning, I have to plan enough time to cool myself down before I put on makeup after I take a shower, because I keep all this heat in and you can't put makeup on when you're sweating. So that's just little adjustments, but we are doing just fine.
Yeah, your hair is different in humidity, isn't it?
Yes. It is, definitely. No question. And it's just, you kind of just realize this is what it's going to be, and everybody's hot and everybody's kind of just sweaty. So, we did have the air conditioning go out, and it was the day before I was doing a cooking demo for Be Green with Amy. And I thought, I am just going to be a pool of sweat in here. And it got fixed like 3 hours before. So it worked. But yeah, we do rely on air conditioning more, which I'm not a big fan of. But yeah, when it's 85 degrees and torrential downpour, it's going to be humid.
Nice. Well, you're dealing with it well. Well, thank you so much. This was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, Chef AJ, and thank you to everybody. I will see you very soon. I have other ideas that I want to share, so I'll be back.
Great. Thank you so much. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back in 90 minutes when my guest is Brett Canaday, and he's going to be talking about